Hey guys, Aaron here. The question was, how do we teach character? I agree with what the Robert said in that role models and mentors are very helpful in teaching character because people are very social and we tend to do what we see other people doing. So having mentors and having role models is a good way to teach character for that. I would also argue that there is a bit of a reward punishment system in place for teaching character, and we call it society. The rewards and punishments are there's varying levels of rewards and punishments. So a punishment might be being ostracized from a certain social circle, or a punishment might be going to prison. Prison might be a bit of a bad example because that sort of broaches the topic of prison as institutionalized slavery as opposed to a punishment for bad character, but different conversation. And the rewards aren't like hard rewards, right? I'm not getting $100 a month because I have good character, but having good character might make you friends with people who are then more likely to help you when you need help. So it's not like a hard system, but it's a soft system, and we call it society. It's a bit of a weird question because it's not like teaching information to try and teach character. It's not a quantitative value, it's a qualitative. So it's like asking, how do you teach art appreciation? And I don't want to say that you can't, because you kind of can, but it's completely subjective, right? And if the person doesn't want to learn it, you can't really teach it. It's up to the person. The person has to want to learn how to have good character. And I guess one of the most important things, though, is just making sure they don't have bad character. And one of the best ways to do that is to make sure they don't isolate themselves. Because if a person gets isolated, then there's really the society part doesn't work. The mentors and role models don't really work, and they just kind of get into their separate little echo chamber of themselves, and everything just becomes warped. For our next topic of conversation, I've been thinking a lot about money, and how money seems to be moving more and more away from a physical thing that has actual value and more towards just a theoretical concept. And this isn't like recently, like the past 20 years, this is, a long overarching trend where we used to buy things with gold because gold was valuable, and then we moved more towards paper money, which had value because our government backed it up with the gold if we wanted to go back to the gold system. But I don't think you can do that anymore. I think $10 just has value because people kind of say $10 is worth what it's worth. And now, even more recently, we've been moving further past that, where instead of having actual $10, I have $10 in a bank. And so how do people know I have $10? Well, the bank says I have $10, and we trust what the bank says. But that's kind of a weird concept if you think about it, right? Like, if I said, Josh has $10, and everybody's like, yeah, I trust Aaron. Aaron says Josh has $10, then Josh has $10. But Josh comes to me and says, hey, Aaron, I'm giving these $10 to Robert. So I'm like, okay, Robert has the $10 now. But there's no actual money moving. Everybody just kind of agrees that what I say goes. So it's kind of a weird thing to think about. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?